It is Morning in America. Welcome back. Boy, busy show today. Lots of politics today. Good kind of politics. Terry Bowman joins us, candidate for Congress in Michigan's 12th District. Hello, Terry.
Good morning, Dr. Bennett. What a pleasure it is to be with you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. It's great to hear you, too. We had a neighbor of yours in Ypsilanti call and say, man, you got to get Terry Bowman on. So let's start from the beginning. Who is Terry Bowman? Where'd you grow up? What's your story? Give it to us in a little autobiography in a minute.
Well, thank you. I grew up in southeast Michigan in a UAW Democrat household. And as I grew, I started to understand that my dad's politics just didn't seem to mesh with reality. In other words, the politics that his union told him that he needed to follow, in my mind, it didn't represent reality or the way that the world really worked. So because of that, I did my research, and the first time I was able to vote was in 1984. And after doing that research, I went in that booth and proudly voted for Ronald Reagan and been an open conservative ever since.
Well,
after that, I spent about 11 years in the banking industry as a loan officer and a credit sales manager. But in 1996, went to work on the assembly line at Ford Motor Company and became a hourly worker and a UAW worker.
Right. And you are running for Congress, right?
That is correct. In Michigan's 12th Congressional District, the current representative is the longest-serving member in congressional history, John Dingell.
Yeah.
He has announced he's retiring, and within the same week, his wife Debbie announced that she was running to take the seat as well.
Yeah, we know Debbie, longtime Washington fixtures, both of them. It's John Dingell that one sees when you see that film clip of Obama signing Obamacare, isn't it? You see John Dingell sitting there smiling, right? So yeah, I hope that's part of your campaign.
Well, we also have him on video stating very emphatically that Obamacare is just step one, and step two is a complete, basically, government takeover of health care and make it single payer. So, absolutely.
I want to ask you about sort of the tectonic plates here of politics, the movement, Democrats, unions, et cetera. But first, how does it look for you? I mean, is this, he's held this seat for 100 years. Here's his wife, passing it down to his wife. How does it look for you? Do you have a good shot, you think?
Well, I do. In fact, I was asked to run in 2012, and I said no. But in 2014, I think the stars are lining up, and the reason why is because they've never had a candidate like me, a blue-collar union member running as a Republican who started an organization called Union Conservatives, where I'm organizing conservatives within the country, trying to fight back against the political agenda of the union officials. And so we've got some history there. We've got some name recognition, and I think they're going to have a hard time trying to beat me up in the TV, although, of course, they'll find things that, Sure. So
it'll get nasty. It'll get nasty, as it will, for every single Republican candidate this fall.
It will. But, I think this candidacy is a little different. Yeah, we've been very effective in our messaging in trying to get union members and blue-collar workers back over to where they belong, and that's in the conservative side. And it's the messaging that's important, of course, and not only that, but who the message comes from. And when I talk to blue-collar workers in the district and actually around the United States with my organization, Union Conservatives, I've been blessed to go around the country talking about issues like right to work and other union issues that have really benefited the freedom of union workers around the country. So I think that message is important, not only for my race, but for campaigns and the platform of conservatives nationwide.
Well, we have a great national audience, a wonderful audience, by the way, in your part of the world. A lot of people listen. Give us your website so people, if they want to help, can do so.
Well, the website is Terry Bowman for Congress, TerryBowman for Congress.com.
Right.
And, I think this message has been really effective. For instance, I'll give you an example. When I talk to union members and explain to them what Obamacare has done is just given the companies the biggest bargaining chip imaginable when their union contracts come up. Because once the press goes away and the negotiations start, there's nothing stopping the companies from sitting down and saying that they're going to dump their employees on Obamacare, pay the $2,000 fine, and then they're going to sit back and say, okay, union, what are you willing to give up?
That's
and when
exactly
I tell
right.
union members that, they sit there in stunned silence. And I say, see, this is exactly why you need to get involved and understand the political agenda that your union officials are pushing.
That's a great point. You know, there was this flap in the papers a lot of us were talking about, because I saw both of them out when I was on the West Coast, George Clooney and Steve Wynn. I don't know if you heard about this, but this back and forth about Obama. And Steve Wynn, as an employer of a lot of people, was saying how bad Obamacare was for his union workers, you know, his dishwashers and his bag carriers and so on, and bellmen and so on. And this is exactly what he described, which is, you get threatened with being dumped into Obamacare. Explain one thing, Terry. You're a big leader of right to work. People say, well, how can you be for right to work and be a union member at the same time?
Well, to me, it's all about logic, truth, and reality. What Right to Work does is it holds union officials answerable and accountable to their membership where they weren't before if you're in a forced unionism state.
Okay.
As an example, what I like to give is when I go to a union member, first of all, I say, anybody in the private sector has a right to be in a union. And then I pause for a second, and then I say, but only if they choose to do so. That way, you're not starting an adversarial conversation. You're opening it up to discussion about why somebody should have the rights and freedoms to be in a union in the private sector, but only if they choose to do so.
There are unions in right-to-work states, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and in
sure.
fact, we've even seen growth of
really?
union membership in right-to-work states.
Like what?
Well, and when you see the reason why is companies are flooding to right-to-work states, so there's more opportunities for union growth.
I got you. I see. All right. Tell me this. I said I want to talk about the big tectonic plates here. We were talking about this, and I'm interested in sort of general philosophy. We were talking about the XL pipeline and other things, union distress about that. Is the Democratic Party evolved so that it's no longer the party of the working man? One. Two, is it more the party of the Sierra Club than the working man? And three, what kind of an opportunity, Terry, does this present for Republicans?
Well, it's a great point, and I think you said it exactly right. One of the things I say out on the campaign trail is this is not the party of Kennedy. Kennedy brought forth right to work for federal employees through Executive Order 10988 in 1962. His philosophy and his speeches, he would be lambasted by the Democrat Party today as being a Tea Party radical. So it is no longer the party of Kennedy, and in some ways it's not even the party of Clinton anymore, although there can be some arguments for that. But it does give us some great opportunities, and it's exactly what this campaign message is about, and why I think we can help other candidates around the country is the fact that the working class really needs to embrace these conservative principles like affordable energy, because affordable energy is not only important to your kitchen table budget, but it's important for your employers as well. The less money they spend on energy, the more they have the ability to spend on wages and benefits.
Okay.
So these messages go directly to the heart of union members and blue-collar workers.
All right.
A couple Mondays ago, I spoke in New York City at Mallory Factor's New York meeting, and there was Rick Santorum. He just announced a new book, Blue Collar Conservatives. And I think that these messages are starting to come out to reach the blue-collar workers, the so-called independents and Reagan Democrats, and I think we're going to do very well in 2014.
Terry Bowman's our guest, candidate for Congress in Michigan's 12th District, John Dingell's seat. Very interesting combination of characteristics, union member, UAW member of Right to Work, and Republican candidate for Congress. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, Irish Catholic family. Knew lots of working Americans, lots of working class people, Catholics, union members, conservative values across the board. Except people would say, but when it comes to the paycheck, I got to go for the union. You know this kind of thinking. What's your reaction to that? Is that always true? Sometimes true, not true anymore.
Well, it tends to be true for half of the union workers. We know poll after poll shows that union members tend to vote 40% or so on the Republican side of the ticket. So when you listen to union officials, you would think it would be much, much more. But we know from the fact that, in fact, one of the reasons I started Union Conservatives is that the fact I was an open conservative, and I heard from a lot of union members saying, you know, Terry, I believe what you do, but I'm not going to get the harassment and the ridicule and the persecution you get for being an open conservative.
Let me interrupt you, Terry.
I knew there was a lot of us out there.
Let me interrupt you. When you're open conservative on values, that values trumped income or trumped paycheck, or was it on paycheck too? That's
on social and economic issues.
Both on both social and economic issues. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, finish.
You know, we had a constitutional amendment ballot initiative in Michigan back in 2006 that defined marriages between one man and one woman in Michigan. A great Detroit News poll showed that 66% of union members voted in favor of the marriage amendment, as did African Americans in the community. And this shows that even though there was that much support from union members, the union officials were actively fighting against it and fighting against their own membership.
Yeah. All right. This is great. You are a good guy, great guy, and a really interesting candidate. And we would love to stay apprised of your race. Tell us once more what the website is, please.
It's TerryBowmanForCongress.com. Very easy. Go. You know, there might be a lot of listeners out there who are looking for a good race. You know, we want to turn this into a Scott Brown type of race.
Yeah, sure you do.
To get rid of the Dingle seat. After 81 years, that seat needs to come back to the people of the district.
Great. All right. Terry Bowman, thank you very much. Keep us apprised of what's going on. This is a fascinating race, a fascinating story representing much larger trends. We appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Bill. Have a great day.
You bet. Thanks very much. Wow. How about that, guys? Huh? What a good guest. What an interesting guy. What a story. You just can't write off union members. 40% vote conservative. You do have the values issues, but you can have the economic issues too. Think of what the Obamacare story he tells. Well, the employer says, we'll pay the fine and dump you into Obamacare, striking fear into the hearts of employees everywhere. We'll be right back.